Hi everyone. I just wanted to do a real quick touching base on all of the methods that you've mentioned and just kind of talk a little bit about and do kind of a visual on these methods, whether it's think, pair, share, gallery walk, oh gosh, working in triads, working in small groups, whatever they might be. This is how, and I brought my little, ooh, let's see if I can do this. This is how I think of these different methods and I encourage you to play with. So for example, the content, I think like say here's a block of, say here's a block of content. So maybe it's, I don't know, science, maybe it's language arts, maybe it's math, whatever you're teaching. So here's where that content is. These methods that we've been talking about, whether, like I said, whether it's think, pair, share, working in small groups, I think of this, I mean, there's a couple of different metaphors I use, but these are what I use to stitch the whole of the lesson together. So maybe, I don't know, doing something on methods that night or that day. And then this is maybe think, pair, share. And then maybe it's small group right here. And then there's going to be another chunk of content, and then maybe it's working in triads, and then maybe it's, working in groups of 4 or drawing some kind of a visual, and then there's another chunk of content. But these are, it was interesting because I was teaching a bunch of construction workers actually this summer how to teach. It was, I do that in the summer and I love it. But I've always thought of these as like a quilt, like these are pieces of fabric and these are but what you have these chunks of fabric, but if you don't break it up and use these different methods to stitch it together, it's just going to slide right apart or fall right apart. And then when I was working with these guys this summer, it was interesting because what I was trying to think of something that was probably more relevant, and it was like bricks, and that these different methods are the mortars that hold that bricks that hold those bricks together. So as we're thinking about methods, and as we're talking about this using them to stitch together the content, in my experience, is what makes that content accessible. It's what makes it relevant for students because they have to make their own meaning, and it needs to be broken up because if it's always think, pair, share, and you're always sitting beside the same person, then you hear one perspective. But throughout that hour or those 2 hours or whatever it is, so maybe they think, pair, share, and then they work in a group of 3 with 3 different people. It's really important that they not always be with the same person, and never, ever, ever, ever let students choose their own groups. You may have experienced why not yet, but it's inevitably cliques and friends and people get left out. And so always, whatever those groups are and whatever those pairs are, always make sure that you create them. And maybe it's, turn to your partner, whoever you're sitting beside, and talk, but then identify who those are. And if you need to mix kids up or students up before you actually do that, then do it. I mean, a lot of times I'm trying to think if I have them here. Let me grab some name cards that I use. Here's some. I've got these for every class, but so and actually this is for the supervised field experience, which is on campus, but everybody makes name cards. Here's mine on the first day, and these are just cardstock, and that way they can set up on the table. But then what I do is I hang on to these and make groups out of them. And I'll say something like, okay, here's a pair, I'll mix them all up and then make pairs. Because then I know that people are going to get mixed up. I'll do that, a number of times. So I just wanted, so here's one tool for your toolbox. I find this works really well. I've got these for each of my classes. So here's again 214 on campus. And these stay right in here so that I can grab them easily. And then in here I've got, well, that's a map for someplace I had to go, but I've got the handbook and the roster. But I find and they're all different colors. So here's one I've got yellow, I've got red. They're kind of all over my office right now, but I find that keeping everything in these really helps when working with multiple classes. So, play with this stitching or mortar or whatever you want to call it, but these different methods, that's what allows students to make meaning from the curriculum that otherwise might just kind of fall down or slide. I think of it kind of as like if you threw a raw egg at a rock wall and it just kind of oozes down. That's how I think of if you just are constantly delivering curriculum and it's not broken up and stitched together in ways that students can make meaning. So I just want to share this with you. Thank you so much. Hang in there with all of the technical difficulties that people are experiencing with observations. Thanks so much for your creativity. We'll get it. We'll get it. We'll just keep working on it. I'm gonna open up a discussion board on the home page. So, and maybe that'll be a place where if you're having a hard time, someone else in the class has discovered something. For the videotaped observations, what has tended to work in the past is either uploading to YouTube, and since there's only 30-minute chunks, you can break it up into a couple, or just going ahead and mailing to me on a DVD or a thumb drive here on campus. So whichever works best for you, but we'll get it done. So, and I really look forward to your teaching and to seeing you all in person. So, okay, thanks so much. Bye.